Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we're ranking the discography of In Flames. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, we're going to start all the way at the beginning with Subterranean and Lunar Strain, which I both kind of rank the same, similar sound. I don't have a ton to say about these albums. I did go back and re-listen to all these, and let me just say up front too, I was generally pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed this. I like In Flames' early discography, and I thought it was really going to be a trudge through the later albums, but it wasn't. Some of them I liked more than remembering liking them initially, but still there's definitely some duds in here that we're going to get into. But starting just off the top with these first two, I feel like they hadn't fully formed their sound yet, and believe me, I'm going to have a lot of hot takes on this ranking that some people are definitely not going to like, I'm sure. But yeah, right off the bat, this is going to piss some people off. Those are both C-tier albums for me. They're just average. C is average, okay? C is not it's terrible, it belongs in the garbage. It's just it's not as good as some of their other material. And that's really all I have to say about it. This is the beginning, there's something to be said about that, but I want to dig into kind of where they really formulated their sound, and I think most of us would agree that that happened around the Jester Race in '96. Great album. I will admit, this album took me a while to get into. This also wouldn't be an album I would recommend as a first-time listener, probably. It takes longer to grow on you, I think. It's very uniform and pretty consistent in what it's doing, and it's, again, really solid, but it's also kind of to be honest, it's a little bit dull compared to the other albums. I'd say there are fewer kind of blowout moments where it's you're getting your socks knocked off. But of course, there are some real classics on here. The title track is excellent. I love the folky sound of their guitars from the very beginning. There's just something about In Flames guitars that's just so undeniably part of their DNA. And you heard so many bands ripping it off right to this day. So yeah, the Jester Race is great. I also like Goliath's Disarm. Their Davids is a great one. But yeah, it just took a while for it to grow on me, and I just don't like it quite as much as some of their later stuff. Gyroscope, another one of my favorites too. So I could really dig in and deep dive on all these, but we have a lot of albums to get through. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that with the Jester Race, and another potentially controversial choice here. That's a B-tier album for me. Enjoy it a lot, but there are albums I like more, and we gotta spread things around a little bit. So let's move on to Whoracle. This was actually my first 90s era In Flames album I got into, and it was the second album I listened to from them. Love this album. The concept is a little goofy, I will say, and I feel like it hasn't aged that well when you're really digging into lyrics and concept. But as far as musically, fantastic album. I love Jotun. This is one of their best album openers. I think this one has a great balance of what was great about the Jester Race, but then also just stepping everything up. Compositions pop a little bit more, and it's just fun. This is just a good time album. Great riffs all around, great vocals, lots of great sing-along moments. I also really love, speaking of guitars, Dialogue with the Stars. It's one of my all-time favorite songs. I remember I heard this, and I was like, dang, dude, these guys can play. I love the harmonies. And it's you don't need vocals on this track. The guitars do plenty of speaking on their own. So yeah, love that one. Food for the Gods. Nice solid rager on this one. They picked up the pace on a lot of these tracks. Kind of more of a almost At the Gates vibe on this one. Episode 666 is fun. Again, another one where the lyrics are a little bit silly. But it's fun to throw up your fists and go, Episode 666. But yeah, really great album, and it deserves to be at A tier for me. I'd even considered putting it at S tier. It's a little bit inconsistent. There's a lot. That's the thing about the In Flames discography, is that I've noticed, and especially re-listening to, but over the years I've just noticed that they don't have that many really consistent albums, and that may be another hot take, but me personally, I just feel they don't have that many albums where I love every single song. There's ones I love most of the songs, but there's a lot of songs that I tend to skip even on the better albums. That may just be me, though. But let's go on to Colony. This is my personal favorite. I feel like this has the perfect balance of kind of where their songwriting was going with that older, raw 90s production. It's their last 90s album, which is appropriate because they definitely started going through a lot of transitions after this. But for my money, like, this would be the album I would recommend. If you'd never listened to In Flames before, I feel like it gives you the perfect kind of midsection, cross-section, whatever you want to call it, of just everything. Listen to that solo, man. The guitars again on this are great. Another great album opener. The title track is great. Lots of dynamics on here, and for me, like, this is a pretty consistent album. Like, it's probably the most consistent album where I enjoy every track. I don't tend to skip around. First half in particular is just so good. With Scorn, those harmonies again, man. It makes me sad, like, listening to the newer stuff and then going back and listening to this and just being like, oh man, it's just night and day. And we lost so much. I think people forget that sometimes when they listen to the newer stuff. Go back and listen to the older stuff. Like, you'll see why the old school fans are so upset, because we just lost so much of their overall atmosphere and sound in the translation. But we will get into all that. So Colony, though, S-tier album. Love it to death. Fantastic. Perfect, again, I think, balance of all of their elements. Continuing on, Clayman. Now, Clayman, this may be another controversial one because I know a lot of people choose Clayman as their favorite album. Now, I love Bullet Ride and Pinball Map are, like, definitely in their top 10 songs they've ever written as a band. Great opener. I love this quieter part here. But even some people would argue that this is when they started implementing more of the clean singing, started shifting into sort of a different sound. But they have enough of their old style on this one still that people tend to love it. And some people make the same argument that I would make about Clayman, that this is the good balance. But man, that riff on Pinball Map, so good. So freaking good. Like, this may be my favorite In Flames song of all time, possibly. Which makes it all the more painful that they did that stupid EP, which is just miserable. Don't George Lucas your music, man. But yeah, good stuff on here, but the rest of the album, to be quite honest, again, even re-listening to them, like, I just find this album to be a little bit dull. After those two tracks, they kind of lose me. They get me back a little bit with Another Day in Quicksand. That's one of my other personal choices on here. Great closer with great riffs on this one, too. But a lot of the rest of it, it just, I don't know, tracks that some people love, I just don't get into them as much. So personally, it's just my personal taste. It's all subjective, right? I know everybody always gets mad in the comments, like, how dare you rate the albums differently than me? Do you know how boring the world would be if we all ranked everything the same? That would be not a world I'd want to live in. So ultimately, I'm going to put this one still at B, though, to be fair. Like, I don't hate it. I think it's above average. It's got enough high points on it that it doesn't really need to be in the C rank, because there's going to be some stuff going in there, let me tell you. But anyways, let's keep on going. Move past the rage to another potentially hot take. This was the first In Flames album that I got into, period. I remember seeing all the advertisements for it in the magazines and got really hyped on it. And my very first song I ever heard from In Flames was Cloud Connected. And I remember hearing these synth lines and this just cool intro. And I'd never really heard anything like this before. Like, this was kind of my introduction to any sort of, like, synth-driven metal. And that guitar riff. Dun, 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 dun. Everything about this song is perfect. Like, this is definitely also in my top 5, probably top 3 In Flames songs of all time. Fantastic. We'll bring it down. I love that part. Great chorus, great sing-along moments. And then the rest of the album's great too. You got Trigger. So many, like, great hooks. Like, a lot of hooks that really stand out and you'll remember forever after you hear them. And so, yeah, I love this album. Opening track is fantastic too. Yeah, these riffs, man, they just take me back in time. And again, I'm biased because this was like my baby, my first time with In Flames. But, man, even the deeper cuts, Egonomic, so many great riffs. Dark Signs. Black and White is the closer. And some people complained a lot about the singing moments and the quieter stuff and the kind of the more acoustic stuff coming up here. This is like a big transition album into kind of where they would be going from here. But yes, me, this is an A tier album. I could almost put it at S tier just for my personal taste, because in terms of the In Flames albums I like re-listening to the most, that album is in there. Like, I go back to it so much, and again, I'm biased because I've got a lot of nostalgia attached to it, but I'm going to put it at least at A tier and kind of leave Colony up there for having a better balance and more consistency, because I will admit that not every song on that album is as good as the others. So let's move on to Soundtrack to Your Escape, which I'd say for all intents and purposes is kind of almost like Reroute to Remain Part 2. But more jams on here, man. Another one of my personal favorites. One that has nostalgia attached to it for sure, but I love The Quiet Place. More great riffs and synth on here. Great sing-along moment. Good balance of the clean singing and the harsh vocals that we start to lose later on. But man, good. Well, bow down. Awesome. Touch of Red. Super heavy. Another kind of at the gatesy feeling track almost. And his vocals just sound so sick on this album too, I think. The production, I really love it. It's definitely louder, but yeah, My Sweet Shadow. More great hooks. Great songwriting, compositionally, just fantastic. And if it weren't for the fact that Reroute to Remain was my first album, I could probably make the argument that this is a stronger album overall, honestly, and a bit more consistent. So I'm going to put that one at A tier as well. Really enjoy these four in particular. I think are probably the ones that I listen to the most. Moving on from there, now we transition even further in their sound with Come Clarity. This was a big album for them, though. Like, I can't sort of like blame them for continuing along this trajectory, because let's be honest, it was working for them. Like, they were picking up more fans, getting more airplay. I mean, for God's sakes, Take This Life ended up on, was it Rock Band or Guitar Hero? I'm forgetting now. But yeah, what a great song. This riff, man, I get so amped listening to it, and I love playing it on Guitar Hero. It's pretty tricky too, but good times, and more great vocals too. This pre-chorus gets me so amped, and then therefore me, take this life. You can't not scream along with that. Come on, anyone who doesn't like this song, like, you have no soul. You're no fun. You're no fun. We can't hang. And then other great tracks too. Leeches follows it up really strong. Just lots of great moments. Fun album that, goes more radio friendly. I would agree with that. Going with the trends of the times. Reflect the Storm, more great riffs here, but listen to those guitars. This is every bit as good as that other stuff. Does it have a different atmosphere? Is it a little bit more rock oriented? Absolutely. But that doesn't make it any less good. Like, this was a big album that I really enjoy. Another one I really like, the cover art too. Such a sign of the times cover art too, that like mid 2000s kind of edgy, heart-focused album art. Man, I could go on and on, but I got to keep moving because we still got a lot of albums to go here. So that one too, I could almost put it at A tier. I'm going to put it like B tier. I don't like it quite as much as these ones. But I could even kind of, it wobbles around in that area. So moving on from there is where I stopped buying their albums. So those are the ones I have to play on here. Again, I did go back and re-listen to all these, so don't get up in arms and be like, whoa, you didn't re-listen, and so how can you say blah, blah, blah. No, I literally just re-listened to them all again yesterday. So after this point, A Sense of Purpose came out. I hated this album when it came out. But re-listening to it, I'm not exactly sure why. I quite enjoyed listening to it. It was a pretty good time. I give it some credit where it's due. But it's so weird to me though, because like I tried to love this album because I had enjoyed every album up to this point. And I really liked Come Clarity. So I remember having this in my rotation for a long time, and I re-listened. I was just like, maybe it'll click, and it just never did. And I gave up on it and sort of wrote it off as this bad album. But you know what? It's pretty good times. There are some pretty good jams on here, and actually consistently, I kind of enjoyed it. Some songs were better than others. I don't like it as much as those earlier albums, but I would honestly, like, I shocked myself. I kind of want to put it at B tier. I am going to move Come Clarity up to A tier, I think. I'm going to keep messing with these as we go along, probably. But yeah, Sense of Purpose surprised me in being a lot better than I remembered. And so yeah, we're going to go with that on that one. And then we had Siren Charms. Now, Siren Charms is infamous, I feel like, with most people, even people who are defenders of their later discography, as being kind of their worst album. And it's pretty bad. Like, I won't argue that. It is pretty bad. It is not a great album by any stretch of that phrase. But again, I was pleasantly surprised. I did not hate it. And in fact, I kind of liked Rusted Nail quite a bit. I liked the gang vocals on that one. Monsters in the Ballroom is a pretty good jam too. So, it's not unlistenable. It's not F tier. In fact, none of these albums actually struck me as F tier, which I thought was important because I was prepared to dump most of the later discography just in F tier and just leave it at that. But I wanted to give credit where it's due. It's a decent enough album. It's definitely among their worst though, so I will put it at D tier for that. But yeah, not as terrible as I remember, but pretty bad. pretty bad. There are definitely a lot of moments where I was just like, ugh, this is just awful. Songwriting is just not as good. The atmosphere is not the same, but I hear what they're trying to do, and I commend them for that. And I think there are some good ideas there that they could build up on. Another one that surprised me a lot was Sounds of a Playground Fading. Now, again, I've kind of written off a lot of these later albums, but I've had people repeatedly come to me and be like, no, man, Sounds of a Playground Fading, really great album. Like, really enjoy it. Even though I don't like most of their later career stuff. And I'm always skeptical, and it's just kind of like, I don't know about that. But let me tell you, I enjoyed this album pretty much start to finish. Like, it's actually pretty solid. Again, not as solid as their earlier stuff. Not as solid even as their like mid-career stuff, but it gained a B from me. I gave it a B tier. I think I actually kind of put A Sense of Purpose at C, because I liked it, but I didn't like love it. But I kind of like it's like, do you like it or do you like it? I kind of like Sounds of a Playground Fading enough where I would want to go back and give it another shot and continue to sort of toy with it and see how my opinion with that evolves over time. So yeah, Sounds of a Playground Fading, pretty decent. Battles, another bad album. Like, this is a bad album. I will say, I listened to the first half and I was ready to just be like, this is F tier. The first half of this album is pretty much garbage, if you ask me. But the second half had some moments that got me. I don't know about like full songs that I loved, but it had enough riffs and enough moments where I was kind of like, okay, this is pretty good. I can get down with it. And I didn't feel like compelled to hit the skip button or anything, but still pretty bad. Still overall, not a great album. So D tier, definitely for that one. And then The Mask. It's okay as well. This is one that I did listen to when it came out. I think I hated it. I didn't hate it, actually. In fact, I commended them on some level for a return to, it felt like they, on some songs anyways, were trying to capture that old spirit and were moderately successful, even though the overall songwriting and the production weren't kind of as good. So that kind of took it back a little bit. But overall, like, it's not a terrible album. It's not as bad as these two. It's another one I'd put at C tier and kind of go there. So there's some flexibility here within these rankings. I could consider, again, even potentially on repeat listens, bringing A Sense of Purpose up. I could consider even kind of messing with some of these and making a little bit more of a pyramid here. But overall, I'd say it's kind of like this, more or less. My top re-listenable albums, though, the ones that I love to listen to the most, are right here in A tier and S tier. Those 5, I would say, are the ones that I go back to the most. And then after that, let me attempt to rank these in order. Okay, I would say, man, it's tough between these two because I feel like as bad as they both are, they each have very different pros. I would give them, so they're almost tied. But I guess I could still kind of argue Siren Charms is last, then Battles, then I the Mask, then Lunar Strain and Subterranean, because I kind of keep those two together. I know some people are going to be really mad that these are lingering down here with the dregs, the redheaded stepchild, so to speak. Then A Sense of Purpose, then Sounds of a Playground Fading, then, yeah, Clayman, then the Jester Race, then Come Clarity. Then these two are almost tied, Soundtrack for Your Escape and Reroute to Remain. Then probably Whoracle, although I might even jump that back a little bit. I really like these two. I'm sorry if that upsets you, but I do. And then definitely Colony at the top. So best I can do. A lot of albums here, lots to think about, but now it's your turn. Let me know down in the comments how you would rank these albums. Where would you do it the same? Where would you do it differently? Where do we disagree? Let's get a conversation going. I'm always down there reading and responding to people, so please do that. Like the video, share it. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.